Hi and welcome to Carlos Cooks again. Today, sun's shining outside but it's a little bit cold. It's probably barely 5 degrees and for lunch I felt like a little bit of soup just to warm up. So I thought I'd make a delicious, healthy vegetable and chicken soup today, but I'm not going to use a soup maker. I've got enough kitchen gadgets. I have not got room for any more, so we're going to do this old style on the stove in a pan. It's going to take us about 15 minutes with a blender. And we're going to have something delicious. I've been making this now for the past couple of months and I thought I'd share it with you because it really is a vitality booster, especially at this time of year. So let's go through the ingredients. Okay, so there's a lot of lovely things here to go in our soup. First off, pretty standard, we've got a potato. I'm using baked potatoes, one sort of medium sized one, that's all you need. Couple of carrots, organic if you can get. Same with the celery, a couple of large stalks. I've got about 4 smaller stalks here that should suffice. An onion, I like a lot of onion in my soup, so I'm using a large one. You can get by with a medium one if you have one. We've got some fresh coriander to chop up, and we've got some chicken thighs here, some which we're going to break up and put into the soup before we blend it, and another we're going to cut the chicken off, chop it up fine, and we're going to fry it in some olive oil just to crisp it up, and that's going to go on the top of our soup with a little bit of finer chopped coriander. And then just seasoning wise, we've got some ground black pepper, a tiny bit of paprika, and a sprinkling of sea salt, and that is it. So I'm going to go and prepare this veg. I'm not going to let you watch me peel the potato and the carrots. I will prepare it and then we'll have a look at how I've prepared it, because that's quite important to how you could cook it, because the carrots will take longer to cook than the baked potato, so you want smaller chunks of carrot as compared to the potato. So I'll go ahead and do that and we'll get back to you. Okay, that's all the veg prepped. Potatoes I've just cut in half and then cut into thirds, so we've got some quite large chunks, but this being a baked potato it's going to cook very quickly when we boil it. Onion the same, is very largely chopped, it breaks down very easily, as does the celery, which is just cut into chunks. But obviously the carrot, I've cut that lengthways and then I've cut it lengthways again, and then I've finally just diced it much smaller pieces because they need to cook a lot quicker. And then coriander's just got a knife pass through it. It doesn't have to be broken down at all, that's going to be blended up very easily. The chicken breasts I've deboned and de-skinned, sorry, chicken thighs deboned and de-skinned, and several of them I've just cut through with a knife. Once again, that's going to go in with the vegetables, it will cook down and it will blend easily. And I've just left one which we're going to fry and crisp up to go on top with some of my homemade olive oil, which I'm going to use my rosemary and garlic one that I've made here, just to give it a little bit of flavour, and that'll go nicely on top of our finished soup with a little bit of fresh coriander finely chopped. So this pot has about a third filled with cold water, and I've brought it up to the boil with a little bit of salt in, and we're going to add our vegetables to that straight away, and they can all go in together because we've cut them the right size to cook correctly. So everything goes in, and we can also put our chicken in there as well. We will leave the coriander just till the end, that doesn't need to go in yet. But now what we're going to do is we're going to bring that to the boil and then simmer it for about 10 minutes and just test with a knife until the potato and the carrot are cooked through. Now while those vegetables are cooking through, I'm just going to tell you about a couple of variations you can do, because I have tried a couple of changes to this. Now this is the bog standard chicken and vegetable soup. What will happen is when we finished cooking the vegetables, we won't drain off a lot of the liquid, we will pour some of it off, just leaving a small amount in the pan so that it will blend nicely, and then if it's too thick we will add some of that back, that vegetable stock if you wish, back into it just to loosen it up enough. Now what I've also done is, you've probably seen my other video where I make chicken bone broth, very healthy broth made from slow cooking chicken bones and vegetables. I sometimes use that. I drain off most of the liquid and then add a small 300ml pot of that back in, and then blend the soup up just to get that extra goodness into it. And you can do this as well. You could use chicken stock or vegetable stock, whatever you wanted, as a replacement for just the plain vegetables stock that we're making here. Okay, vegetables have been going for about 5 to 8 minutes so far. Nearly there, just need a little bit longer. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to get this chicken that we're going to sprinkle on top, this crispy chicken going. So I'm going to get the ring on high, small ring, small pan. And I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of my rosemary and garlic olive oil in there. I have to be careful with this because I've had a bit of problem. Just a little bit of that. Let it get up to temperature. And then what I've done is I've finely diced one of the smaller chicken thighs, and I'm going to put that in and get that crisping up. Takes a little bit of a while to get warm on this this ring. Put that in there. You're just going to let that just sizzle away. In fact, I think I'm going to stick it on the back ring because it's a bigger ring and we'll get a bit more heat on that one than this one. You can just leave that. I can hear that's kicking in now. Okay, let's have a look at this soup. Now, pretty much all the vegetables will be pretty cooked through. You'll see the potato has almost disappeared and has gone. So if you get one of the carrot pieces out on a wooden spoon or something like that, stick a knife in it, you'll see it's soft. It'll fall off the knife easily. And you can even give it a taste and just see if it's soft enough. Yep, that's breaking up in my mouth very easily. So we're going to stop there for a minute now. We're going to turn the heat off on the soup. And we've still got quite a bit of liquid in there. It's probably a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little tiny bit off. Okay, so I've poured about this much off. About 200, just over 200 mils of the stock, and kept it to one side. We can add that back in if we find the soup is too thick for us. You can do that, you know, so you can get it to your liking. So we've just got coating the vegetables really with water left. So what we're going to do now is throw our coriander in and just give that a stir through. The coriander doesn't have to go in too early. I'm just going to give that a stir, and then we're going to blend that now. Our chicken is still cooking on the hob here on the back. I've turned it down to low now because it's starting to crisp up and go brown, so it can just keep going now. We just want to get it all nice and crispy, so I'll just leave that cooking on a low heat on the back. And what I'm going to do now is use the blender. I've got a Russell Hobbs blender here, as you can see, Magimix blender. And I'm just going to put that into the soup, and I'm going to blend it until all the pieces are gone and I've got a smooth, silky consistency. Now it's up to you how far you go. You might like your vegetables and chicken soup a bit chunkier, so stop when you think it's right for you. But I prefer it all blended in, and the longer you go with this, it does give it a silky sheen and a sort of creaminess without putting cream in it. So that's as far as I'll be going. Okay, I start it off on a slow speed and be very careful because obviously the liquid's hot, so make sure you keep it down into the pan and just move it around gently like this. You can lift it up occasionally and then push it down again, so keep the actual Magimix, keep it upright. If you have it at an angle like this, it's going to squirt hot liquid over you. So keep it upright, hold the pan. Okay, so I've finished blending the soup. That's the sort of consistency we've got. Silky, it's fairly smooth, but a little bit thick. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of that stock that we poured off the vegetables just back in, just to loosen it up a bit. Don't add it all in, just give it a little stir as you add each bit in, and then just see what consistency you're left with. It's quite a nice soup, that. It's looking good. I'm just going to break it down a little bit more. That's looking good. I like it about that, so we'll stop there. Next thing we're going to do is put some seasoning in. So first off, a little bit of black pepper. I prefer to use the black pepper that's finely ground, and I don't use the end of the spoon, I just use the handle of the spoon to put a little tiny bit of that in. And then paprika, very tiny bit, just on the end of the, doesn't need a lot at all. If you like a bit more spice in it, you can put a little bit more in. And then we're going to put some salt in, some finely ground sea salt, that we're going to stir and taste, and then probably add more. So let's go with a little bit more than that. So about 1/4 teaspoon I've put in so far. It may not be enough, but we're going to stir it in and test it. Now I'm going to turn the ring back on, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a low heat, and we're just going to let this simmer for a bit, for the last 5 minutes. Bring it up to the boil and then let it simmer, and just let those seasonings just go through. While that's doing that, let's have a look at our chicken, which is crisped up lovely. It's golden brown and crispy, so we can turn that off and just leave that to one side, and that's going to go on top. I'm just going to chop a little bit more coriander, finely chopped, to go on top with that crispy chicken. And you can go a little bit further if you wanted to, if you wanted a bit of extra decadence. What about just drizzling a little bit of sour cream over as well? That will just finish it off nicely. You won't need all this coriander, but I'm just chopping it up as fine as I can. Soup's bubbling away, so let's just give that a stir and turn that down to a simmer. And we'll test it in a minute for the seasoning, see if we need any more salt. Okay, all done. Just warmed up the soup bowl, just a little bit. Nothing worse than your soup going cold. So I'm just going to pour a little bit into there gently. Just like that. And then we've got our crispy chicken pieces just to go on top. I'm just cooking those slowly as crisp them up lovely in that olive oil, and it'll give them a bit of flavour as well. So we'll have that little extra something special in there, and then just a pinch of fresh coriander just to finish it off. And there we have it. That's my homemade vegetable and chicken soup with crispy chicken thigh and coriander, and in there we've got baking potato, carrot, celery, onion and some seasoning. Delicious, and you'll find that delicious as well in the 15 to 20 minutes it takes you to make it. And as I say, it's plenty left over. It'll go in the fridge, it'll go in the freezer. And this is a soup I go to when I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. and in 2 days you'll be right as rain on this. The vegetables in it just give you that vitality kick you need to fight off a cold. So I hope you liked that video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe and hit the notification icon if you want to know when I put up further content. But for now, I'll see you next time.